Hey guys, Nao here. This week on Learn to Play we're going to be looking at the Midrange Hunter deck. More specifically we're going to be talking about the strategy, combos, the mulligans, and then we're going to play a few example games just so you can see the deck in action. Let's start off by talking deck strategy. Golden rule for Midrange Hunter is when in doubt, go face. More specifically, when you're playing against another aggro deck, you want to be focusing face, and making high trade values is actually okay, but mostly face. Curve is also important, especially turn 1 and turn 2. If you don't play anything on turn 1 and if you don't play anything on turn 2, your opponent's going to overwhelm you and you're not going to be able to get minions onto the board and they're just going to smash you. When playing against slower decks, it's a little bit different. Focus face at all costs unless you have to deal with a large minion, because you've got a very limited time frame to take them out. If you haven't managed to kill your opponent by turn 9, you'll most likely lose because you'll start running out of resources and they will start getting some pretty valuable minions out onto the board. Now playing curve is extremely important here. You want to make sure you're spending all your mana every turn, so you're pushing maximum value onto the board each turn to make sure you can kill your opponent in time. Now let's have a look at the cards and combos in this deck. As you can see from my deck list here, more than 2/3 of the cards in this deck cost 3 or less. Essentially this deck's all about rushing your opponent down as quickly as possible. Especially when you're playing against slower control style decks, the longer the game goes on, the less chance you have of winning. Now let's go and have a look at some of the combos. So here we have the 2 crabs in the deck. So these have been an amazing addition to the Midrange Hunter deck. Essentially they've been put in so you can deal with the midrange paladin or aggro paladin, I guess, deal with their murlocs. Also, it's good against decks like Pirate Warrior, which everyone loves to be able to, smash. It's also really good against rogues as well, because they play some pirate cards. Even the aggro druid plays some of these cards too. They're really good counters, and in a lot of cases, I've actually played games where I've played one of these on turn 1 or turn 2, and I've actually had the opponent just quit because they get really buffed up minions and then they can't deal with that. Here we have the Death Rattle minions that summon more minions. These are really awesome in the Hunter deck because it'll make your opponent have to think twice about killing them. It also gives you a lot of power when making trades, and it also helps protect you from board clear abilities. One thing to think about is, for example, the Kindly Grandmother is a 2-drop minion. It's got 1 attack, 1 health, so that's not really a big threat, but when it dies it summons a 3/2 Big Bad Wolf. Your opponent's going to be trying to avoid killing that unless it's able to kill it and deal with the Big Bad Wolf. So it gives you a lot of power. Say early game you played that, and then you're able to trade that into another minion to finish another minion off, and you'll summon a Big Bad Wolf as well. That makes things pretty awkward for your opponent. Then we have stuff like, we have the Rat Pack, which basically you can buff that with Houndmaster, for example. Put a taunt on it, increase its attack to 4, which means when it dies it'll summon 4 1/1 rats, and you just basically be flooding the board. And using those 1/1 rats are pretty good for making some trades, some high value trades. Potentially buffing and doing a heap of damage. It's really, really awesome. Same goes for the Infested Wolf. Summon 2 1/1 spiders. Pretty solid card. And then of course we have the Savannah Highmane. This is the highest value card in the deck, or highest cost. Pretty valuable too. On Death Rattle, summon 2/2 hyenas, and the card itself is pretty buffed up, so it can be quite expensive for your opponent to take care of, and then they still have to deal with the Death Rattle minions. Here are the last few cards I want to kind of go into detail about. So we have the Crackling Razormaw. This is basically a turn 2 play. Hopefully on turn 1 you've wanted to play a 1-drop obviously and summon a minion or 2 minions if you played the Alley Cat. Then on turn 2, hopefully you want to play the Razormaw and buff one of those minions with, I don't know, maybe +4 attack, Divine Shield, extra health, depends on the situation, but you get to decide. So then you've got, 2 to 3 minions on the board, one's been buffed by the Crackling Razormaw, and the Crackling Razormaw itself has a fair bit of attack and health, so it can be pretty annoying for your opponent to have to deal with that. Then we also have the Hyena. This is a pretty good turn 2 play as well. Depends if you're playing against aggro or slower decks. Essentially it's better against slower decks because the aggro decks are probably going to have enough stuff on the board to be able to take it out early. It works really well with all the other Death Rattle cards I just spoke about, because those Death Rattle cards will be all these cheap minions which you can essentially just trade away, because every time a friendly beast dies, the Hyena gains 2 attack and 1 health, and you can buff that thing up really quickly and make this huge minion and hit your opponent in the face for 10+ damage easily. Then we have the Houndmaster card, which I also mentioned briefly as well, which you can use kind of with the Rat Pack to give that a buff to summon some more minions when it dies. This is a really awesome play. Buffs a minion with Taunt and gives them 2/2, obviously a Beast minion. This can make things quite awkward. It's actually really good against aggro decks because it can stop them from hitting you in the face and give them a big minion that they have to deal with, which could cost them a lot of minions. It's time to take a look at the mulligans in this deck. Let's start by having a look at the mulligans you want to pick against aggro style decks. As you can see, there are quite a few mulligan choices against aggro style decks, but I'll talk about some of them because some of them have higher priority than the others. So first of all, your number one mulligan you want against aggro decks is the Alley Cat. Essentially having two 1/1 minions on the board is really worth it because in theory on turn 2, hopefully you want to be playing Crackling Razormaw and buff one of them. If you only play one minion, the Jeweled Macaw is obviously the other option. It's quite good as well because it gives you another beast to your hand, but you want to be playing the Alley Cat to increase your chances of making sure a minion survives to turn 2 so you can actually buff it with the Razormaw. The other turn 2 plays that you have is the Kindly Grandma. That's still a very solid turn 2 play. That's probably a better turn 2 play if you don't have anything to buff. The Hyena is your lowest pick out of the turn 2 cards. Basically, it's really powerful, but against the aggro decks, it can get taken out pretty quickly, and if you're playing on turn 2, you probably don't have too much on the board to be able to buff it anyway. The Eaglehorn Bow is a really good turn 3 play. Basically, it will let you kill probably 2 minions when you're playing against an aggro deck, which can give you the upper hand and protect your minions so you can kind of keep buffing them. Then we also have the crabs once again. As I mentioned earlier, basically you want to hold on to these if you're playing against a deck that possibly is running Murlocs or Pirates, otherwise they're completely useless and you should drop them and mulligan for something better. Here are the mulligans you want to be picking against slower decks. They're very similar to what you want to be picking against aggro decks. The main point here is though that you want to be playing curve. As I mentioned earlier, you want to be making sure you play maximum mana on every turn to push maximum volume to the board to kill your opponent before they get to the late game and they'll overpower you. So turn 1, you want to play either the Alley Cat or the Macaw. Either one is quite good. The Macaw could potentially be better because of the Battle Cry, so it gives you an extra minion in your hand. But having said that, just like the aggro deck, the Alley Cat is pretty good because it gives you 2 bodies on the board and increases your chance of it surviving till turn 2 when you can hopefully play the Razormaw. Once again, Razormaw is a great turn 2 play if you've got something to buff. If not, I would pick the Kindly Grandmother. Now, slightly differently here, the Hyena is actually a pretty good play against slower decks. You've just got to time it well. When you've got a heap of minions on the board, you can drop the Hyena and you can trade those into your opponent's minions and buff the Hyena up a lot. That can be really good. Your best turn 3 play here is the Animal Companion, and hopefully you get the Taunt minion. That is really awesome. Otherwise, the other 2 minions are okay, particularly the buff minion's pretty good, but the 4/2 charge is not that great. I mean, it's still 4 face damage, but you want the other 2 hopefully. And once again, if you're playing against a deck that you think's running Murlocs or Pirates, hold on to the crabs, otherwise they're worth dropping to get something better. Now that we've finished talking about the strategies for this deck, the combos and the mulligans, let's go and play a few example games to see it in action. Okay, Paladin, cool. Oh, Hungry Crab. Nice. Alley Cat, Unleash Hounds will drop those 2. Yeah, that's not too bad. Fortunately, most of the time with Hunter you get pretty good curve. A few 1-drops. Got the Useless Crab as well, that's alright. Next turn we can play Hungry Crab plus Grandmother, assuming he drops us a double. Deal with that. So now if he plays Murlocs, he's in a lot of trouble. Doesn't look like I think it's gonna be lower deck. Well worth it. In next turn we can play the Crawler plus weapon. Hero power, I should say, not weapon, really. Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go. I still want to hold on to those Hungry Crabs just in case. Another Houndmaster. I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. I'm actually going to play one of the crabs now. A couple of reasons for that. I want the curve, and it might also make him think, oh, if you've played your crab now, I can play Murlocs. If he has any. Do we kill command? Probably, I think. We save a minion. I think we play Rad Pack, get some more value onto the board. Nice. Cool, very good. Paladin again. Wrong crab, Houndmaster, no. Unleash the Hound, no. Not looking good for curve unless we top deck a 1-drop. Hopefully we do. Yeah, of course they'll play Murlocs when I don't have a crab. Come on, give me a Hungry Crab game. I'm actually not going to play anything, which is not very good. Next turn I'm going to coin Rat Pack, I think. Unless of course I draw a crab. This means it should give me something to buff next turn, hopefully. That's nice. Certainly needed that. Brilliant. That was a good... Happy with that turn. Yeah, we need to get rid of that. That's too much of a problem. Board control, he's got very few cards in his hand. We can play our Rhino next turn. You know, that's somewhat of a problem, but fortunately, buff you up. And so that's one of the combos I spoke about earlier too. You can buff Rat Pack. Now that's going to summon 4 1/1 rats when it dies. If it dies. Hopefully it doesn't. I mean, look, we can essentially clear everything out. Well, that's gonna proc this, that's no good. I'm actually just gonna stop there. Save those 1/1s. Next turn we can actually Rhino and Kindly Grandmother will be really good. Because that'll get charged, and then it's summon 3/2 Wolf will get charged as well. Playing really aggressive. Clear you out. Clear you out. Let's get a 3/2 Wolf. Unfortunately for me, it doesn't need a lot of damage at this point since it's got that weapon equipped and we don't have another taunt. Oh, unless we get Animal Companion, of course. Wow. That hurts. Buff that up as much as possible. We just want to play that to push, even though I might play a Murloc. Not really worth holding on to, because if he kills the charge minion, game over anyway. Nice. That was actually fairly close, but alright. Another Paladin. Again. I'll get the Murloc Destroyer, cool. Drop that and hopefully pick up some, yes, nice turn 1 plays. So I think we'll play Alley Cat plus Hungry Crab. Following turn, and following turn, sorry, we'll play Hungry Crab plus 4. Yeah. He's gonna kill us a Murloc, hopefully. Yeah, he's in a bit of trouble right now. This guy's something to play on turn 3, I guess. Not great, but something. I think I'll probably buff. What do we want to do? Lance is probably our best value. Yeah. Yes, you do need to keep control of the board in these games against other really aggressive decks like these early game Paladin, Murloc, Rush. Oh, I got excited for a minute. I thought I drew a good crab, but no. Actually gonna trade the... Keep the Murloc numbers a little bit down, but too much back. I mean, with our hero power plus kill commands, probably nearly dead. Yeah, he will be. Smashed. Okay, playing mage. So, Hungry Crab is useless, keep the Razor more. The Rhino is useless, well, useless right now. We'll pick up something. No turn 1 play, that's unfortunate. I mean, at least we have Kindly Grandmother for turn 2 and we can play Rat Pack on turn 3, and then we can do the Houndmaster buff onto Rat Pack on turn 4, which is pretty good. Just basically wish we had a turn 1 play. Double Houndmaster, wow. Yes, we get to do 1 face damage next turn. Unless he somehow magically has something to deal with this. We can potentially think about buffing that with the Razor Maw, but I'm very inclined to get that Rat Pack up and get it buffed with the Houndmaster next turn. As I said, I want to play that mana curve every turn. Interesting if he's going to Fireball that. Unless he got a Frostbolt from that Primordial Glyph. Okay, or I can coin Frostbolt. Yeah, I don't know about that choice. Anyway. Okay, we have the Hyena, which is going to be really good once this Rat Pack dies and we have 4 minions we can trade into something. We just need him to play a minion, I guess. Okay. So I mean, this turn we can either Houndmaster that again, or we can... I think maybe potentially Crackling Razor Maw might be better. We can buff it with hopefully a Divine Shield or something, or maybe like crazy amount of attack. Because now we can Divine Shield and kill one of these off without any... But base damage is probably more valuable. I think I'm going to go Divine Shield though. Pretty painful. Wow. That was unfortunate, but that's alright. And we may as well play this crab. Had he kept his coin, he could possibly Blizzard right now. I mean, worst case scenario next turn we can play the high main, which is pretty good minion. No, I think we want to play a Hyena. Trade that guy away. We could actually... I think this might be a better play. Might be worth our while buffing that. We can take care of that and we still have that on the board. Otherwise he'd just, yeah, destroy the Hyena with it, buff it up and destroy it. 2 high mains, interesting. Yeah, that was okay. He blew a lot of resources then. We're starting to get into a bit of trouble territory now though. Game's starting to get pretty late. And we haven't done a lot of damage yet. Not as much as I would have liked. Yeah, basically on that Vaporize turn, should have traded with minions, but the assumption was he played a Ice Block or Ice Barrier. It was a bad assumption by me, but here we are. Wow. So that might be his Ice Block there, by the looks of it. Could be a counter spell, most likely Ice Block though. So fortunately next turn we have Lethal, other than that he'll have an Ice Block up, but we can pop it. He has a little bit of damage, but he's already blown through. Okay, he's gonna trade. Good for us. And Blizzard, yeah, okay, cool. And that's perfect. That's perfectly fine for us. I mean, the beast still survive. Actually, that's not a beast, is it? So I need to be careful. Lucky. So we want to do 5, 7. Yeah, we can play everything. Almost did kill command without beast. Very bad. Yep. Okay. That's kind of somewhat expected. But at this point, means he probably doesn't have an Ice Block in his hand. He's really trying to protect that last few health. Too bad. Nice. Okay, playing against Warrior. Unfortunately, no idea whether they're playing aggro or quest, but no, the Hungry Crab is useless. I'm gonna drop the Hyena. The Alley Cat's good. That's, yeah, the Grandmother I'll keep in case we don't get a Razor Maw. Unfortunately, what we had before was better, but that's okay. Day's Quest. Probably better seeing as the hand we got. Kill command will be useful because it'll probably have a pretty sizable taunt minion that we might need to deal with. We will need to deal with. Quest Warrior, of course. That's pretty rough. Anyway, that's okay. Yeah, so we could actually buff this Raptor, take that out. The other option is we use Kill Command, but maybe we might, I think we might need Kill Command further in. We may need that to finish him off, so I should probably hold on to it, because he might end up with this crazy taunt wall that we have no way around. Wow, shield slam that. We can either Rhino or we can high main. I think I probably want to high main just to get the value onto the board. That's huge. While he's got no taunt up. So that could be our... Well, I was going to say that could be our kill command, but I still want to save it. Let's go another high main. And so these death rattles are really good, especially against this warrior too, because even if he brawls, he's still going to end up with 4 of these 2/2 hyenas on the board against him. Yeah. And I'm pretty cool with that. Or one could survive. Even better. Super aggressive. Very greedy play, but that's the hunter. Now he's in a lot of trouble. We still have the kill command. He's used a brawl. I mean, he might have another brawl or that. At this point, we need to decide whether we trade into it. And seeing as we have the Rhino up, which will give the Death Rattle minions charge, we give that charge, I think it's certainly worth it. Yeah, smashed. Didn't even use kill command. Awesome. Those games are quite interesting. It was good to see a few different games. That's why I had to play so many games, because I got 3 Paladin decks in a row. There's Paladin games that I feel like I've dominated them basically. I mean, there was that one game that got pretty close, but the other 2 games were just quite easy wins. The games against the Mage and the Warrior were pretty solid. I'm particularly happy with that game against the Quest Warrior. Did very well, kept control of the board, and he didn't actually play too many taunt minions, so it's pretty easy to beat him down quite quickly there. That concludes my Midrange Hunter deck guide. If you guys liked it, please subscribe, like, check out some other videos on my channel. I'd really appreciate it. I'll be bringing out a deck guide video every week. Once again, thank you guys for watching. Until next time, farewell.